Hello, vinyl community. This is Mike from TCAT's Deep Vinyl Tracks, and I just wanted to come on and do another vinyl finds video for December. Now, there's a story behind this one, and if you bear with me, I'm going to kind of explain what's going on with this. So I had made plans back on, well, it's been a week ago, last Saturday, that I was going to meet up with Brian from Embryonic Robot, Rob from Northern Reflections. I hope I got the name right. Sorry about that if I didn't. And with Chris from Stylus Meets Vinyl. We're all here from the Ontario, South Ontario area, and we were planning on meeting in Toronto to visit some record stores. Well, about a week or so before this was to happen, my brakes went out in my car, and so I was unable to get up there. I had sold some records for the purpose of going to Toronto and finding some records there, meeting up with these guys and having a good time. And this ended up not happening. I thought I was going to need the money that I'd put aside for this to pay for my brakes, to get them fixed and that. So I was unable to go meet with them for that particular meetup. Now, about a couple of days after the fact, my brother-in-law offered to put new brakes on, as long as, I picked up a new pair of brakes, that he offered to put them on for free. So I took him up on that, and fortunately I was able to hold on to that money that I was going to use for records. So for the past couple of days, I've been finding some, I don't know, it's just like they're coming out of nowhere. These great deals on records. I found a big stack of them at the secondhand store, one of the second-hand stores that I go to quite often. It's a Value Village, which is the same thing as Savers down in the States. First of all, I want to show you some of those. Most of these that I'm going to show this time around, I got so many records the last couple of days that I'm probably going to have to split this up into 2 videos. So the first ones I'm going to show are the ones that I found at the secondhand store. And most of these are really great hole fillers in my collection, records that I needed. There's a couple of them here that are going to be second copies for me. I'm going to assess whether one copy is better than the other. And anyway, starting off with this one, I've seen it before. I've just never heard the album, and it's Steppenwolf's For Ladies Only. Not exactly sure. I think this came out around 1976 or something like that. Again, there's nothing that I recognize off of the track list, but I pretty much enjoy Steppenwolf quite a bit. Now, some of these names are on the cover there. Of course, you find that with a lot of these used albums. There's the Gatefold, and the album's on this brown ABC Dunhill label. So, like I said, I haven't heard that particular Steppenwolf album, but I'm usually a pretty good fan of Steppenwolf. This is one artist I've been kind of curious about his solo album. He's one of the founders of Chicago. It's Robert Lamb, and this is his album Skinny Boy. You can see it's still in the shrink. There's the hype sticker still on it, a little bit faded, but still there. And but it is open, so this will be good to hear. I haven't heard this one. I don't know what it's like or anything, if it's commercial or I don't know, but I'm curious enough to give it a listen. Found this Genesis record that I needed to put back into my collection. It got sold a couple years back. All my Genesis collection ended up getting sold, so I'm slowly building it back up again. This one is Selling England by the Pound. This was, I believe, the first album that Phil Collins sang on. Now all the songs on here, except for one, are sung by Peter Gabriel. More Fool Me is the one sung by Phil Collins, and it's his first time singing for Genesis. So there's the Charisma label, the famous Charisma label. And also by Genesis, I got another copy. Now all of these that I got at the secondhand store are all $2.99 each, so $3 records. And at that price, if they're in good shape, I pick them up. And I've already got this one, Duke by Genesis, but now I've got a second copy of it. That's the gatefold with all the lyrics and everything. This is a great Genesis album. This is when, well, this is after Peter Gabriel left. It's all sung by Phil Collins, but really good album. One of my favorite Phil Collins Genesis records. Another one that I already had is this, I think it's either their second or third album from Saga. This album was made before they hit the big time and with the album Worlds Apart. This one is called Silent Night, and again, like I said, I have a copy of this, so it looks pretty much like it's in about the same shape as the one I've already got. So, but you know, it's hard to pass up something in such good shape for $3. This one I haven't had, the best of Earth, Wind and Fire. I love the songs on this particular album. It's nice that it's all collected on to one album. Gotta Get You Into My Life, Sing a Song, Shining Star, Get Away, That's the Way of the World, September. Just some great songs on this one. So, yeah, I picked this one up too. And it's in really good shape. And another one by Earth, Wind and Fire. None of the songs on this one are on that best of collection. This one is simply called I Am. And there's the gatefold. And this one has Boogie Wonderland on it. A couple others that sound familiar, but probably less well known. I'm collecting all the Alan Parsons projects, so even the albums that I consider they're not so good albums, like this one, Eve, is probably their in my opinion, their worst album. It's not bad, but there's just nothing there that really stands out that much except for the instrumentals, and all of the Alan Parsons project albums have instrumentals on them. So anyway, it's one that I needed to fill a hole. Toto's debut album. Two Toto albums that I consider worth getting is this one and Hydra, which is their second album. I really like this album, and so I seen it and picked it up. Men at Work, Business as Usual. This is always a fun one to have in the collection. This is also their most famous album, of course. It has Down Under, Who Can It Be Now, Be Good Johnny. People just love to play with words. All their great tracks are on this one. Almost plays like a greatest hits album. Another thing is this is the white copy. Most of them that I've seen have been yellow, so it doesn't seem to make any difference with the value of the record, but it's just on the basic Columbia label. This is one that I've already got in the collection, John and Vangelis, the Friends of Mr. Cairo. John Anderson and Vangelis did 3 albums together, where John Anderson does the singing, and it fits just perfectly with Vangelis' style. This is a great album. Again, I already have a copy of it, but I'll check it out and see which one is the better copy. And I've been looking, I've got one album by this band. I've been looking for more of their albums, so I was really happy to see this. And again, this is in that secondhand store for $3. And it's Kraftwerk's Man Machine. So happy to get this one. I'm pretty sure I've heard it before. It's got the robots on it, which of course is one of their famous tracks. So happy to have picked that one up. This one's in really good shape. There's the cool custom labels on it. So that's what I picked up at the secondhand store. So some of these others, so I was driving down the road probably a day later or something, I can't remember when. I've seen these signs that said record sale. And of course, I'm curious, so I stopped in, and I was inside this multi-purpose building of some kind. Stepped in, there were a couple of tables, probably I'd say about 5 or 6 tables. Some vendor in there selling some records, and he had some great titles in there. So, of course, I went through all the $5 titles. I'm going to show you some of those now. You got Robert Plant's The Principle of Moment. Is that right? Principle of Moments. This is his second solo album. One of my favorites. Big Log is on this. In the Mood, Messing with the Mekon. Through with the Two-Step. Some great songs on this. And his third album, Shaken and Stirred. This particular album is not liked so much by a lot of his fans because it's quite a bit different from his usual style. It's a lot more experimental. I really like it. I like the direction he kind of went with this one to make it sound different from his other albums. And you know, the song Little by Little, I think, was a single off this. 6s and 7s, and some really interesting sounding music on this particular album on the Esperanza label. And if you haven't heard that one, you might want to give it a listen just because it's so different, and you might not like it at first, but I've grown to really love this album. One of the Supertramp albums that I was missing from my collection, Crisis What Crisis, another great album by Supertramp. This was made before they hit it really big in the States, but just a great album, become one of their classics. Sister Moonshine, Two of Us, Another Man's Woman, Soapbox Opera, Lady, just some great songs on this album. Filling up my Neil Young collection, even with his lesser albums like Neil and the Shocking Pinks, Everybody's Rockin'. This one is more of his rock and roll album. Of course, you see the cover's a bit dirty on this one, but it's in really good shape. The inner sleeve has got some moisture damage. That's what you get on this side of the world on Geffen. The record itself looks really good. And I also picked up a copy of Trans. This is Neil Young's electronic album. And at first it was quite panned a lot by the critics just because it was so different from what they were used to hearing from Neil Young. But now it's become it's gotten a lot more of the respect that it deserves. Inner sleeve, got the lyrics on the other side, and again on the Geffen label. I love the early Simple Minds albums. This one is probably one of their better known earlier albums, New Gold Dream, 81, 82, 83, and 84. I am not sure if this is a compilation of sorts, but it's songs that they made before they really hit it big in the States with Don't You Forget About Me. So this one is got a really nice label. And that was a good one to have to add to my collection. Also trying to get all the Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Starship albums. Picked up Winds of Change and Nuclear Furniture. These are some of their lesser known albums, I think from the 80s. This one I'm more familiar with because I was working at the record bar when this particular album came out. But you don't see it too often anymore, it seems like. So, pick that up. Another great one. This is one of my favorite Elton John albums, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Again, one that I had before that I needed to put back into my collection. So, he's back. Captain Fantastic. Great album. There's the gatefold. And this one also has the booklet that it comes with the great pictures inside, the comic on the back. And I think, yep, the lyric book is also in there. All the lyrics with great artwork. So that was all included, along with the inner sleeve and the beautiful label. So I'm glad to have that one back, one of my favorite Elton John albums, for sure. Going towards progressive side of things, picked up Klaatu. I've never had any of their albums before, so I was glad to see this one for a really good price. Not sure. This is called Hope, is the name of this album. Get to know them a little bit better with this album. Again, great labels, custom labels. This next one is one that I've had in my collection, but it's a beat up copy, so I'm glad to get this better copy of Golden Earrings Moon Tan. Excellent album from them. Of course, it has one of their most famous albums with Radar Love on it, but Candy's Going Bad, and the excellent, absolutely excellent song Vanilla Queen. Love that track. And it's just on your basic MCA label, but glad to have a beautiful copy of that one. Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Pictures at an Exhibition. Another great album. This is one that I've had missing from my collection for quite a while now. So it's good to have that one back. I love their rendition of Pictures at an Exhibition. I think they do a really great job of recreating that classical work on the Gotillion label. And it's all live, that's what's amazing, but you easily forget that it's live. It doesn't sound like a live album. And the last one I'm going to show this time around, now there will be more coming up later, probably the next day or two, so watch out for part 2 of this. But the last one I picked up is an America album you don't see very often. I've been particularly looking for this one because it was very popular in Italy when I was over there, though it never really caught on anywhere else. But it's America's Alibi album. So this one is great for me because it reminds me of my days in Italy. This was after Dan Peek left the band. So it's just the two of them. And the song that really made it big in Italy, it was a #1 hit in Italy, was Survival. Around here, anywhere else in the world, I guess you don't really know. I've never heard of that song, but that was really a big song over there. Another great song on here is Hangover. I Don't Believe in Miracles. But great album, and was happy to see this one because it's one that you don't find very often. And really cool custom labels on that one too. Okay, so these are mostly albums that I needed to fill in holes. Most of them all rock albums. The next one I'm going to show has got some really interesting albums. I paid a little bit more money for some of these, and they're going to include some psychedelic classics that I've been looking for a long time. A couple of really great grails, so make sure you watch out for that one. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and we will talk to you all later.